Hello everyone, this is the Insight UTG organized by the University of the Gambia Students Union. We bring you interesting topics to discuss, and today I am having honorable members here. From my right side we have Kimo Conte, and on my left we have Dr. Abibatu Drame. But I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
I am delighted to be on this show. My name is Habibatu Drame. I'm currently the Director of Student Affairs and Alumni at the University of the Gambia. It's a pleasure to be here, to be engaged and involved in these interesting discussions.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Abibatu Drame. And on my right, we have Kimo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Drame. I'm grateful to be here once again. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be my third time of being on this platform. My name is Kemo Conte. Once again, I'm the Research and Education Minister of the University of the Gambia Student Union, and I'm also delighted as far as this particular topic at hand is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr.
On the Directorate of the Students Affairs, UTG. I know before you came there, you saw certain problems. I assume there were certain challenges that were left in that office. From there up to now, how far have we gone into ensuring that those problems become a thing of the past?
So when we came in, we decided to put in the structures. So you need a structure to commence your work so that you have a sense of direction. So first, we had to work on having a standard student handbook. So we began with the undergraduate student handbook, which is ready and now just awaiting council approval. Also, in the process, we experienced some matters and issues of sexual harassment. So quickly, it clicked that there should be a policy. It will surprise you that in the Gambia, a lot of institutions don't have sexual harassment policy documents, and the university was no exception. But eventually, we saw the need at a time that matters of that nature started happening to have a policy that addresses any matter relating to harassment of any form. So at the moment, that document is also ready and awaiting council approval. Again, we have designed a concept note to tackle the Alumni Initiative. So the note is already prepared. Like I said, we are just waiting to have a support staff who will chat that initiative. This is very, very important to engage with our alumnus and to see how we can collaborate with our alumnus to progress the University of the Gambia. There is a lot that the University of the Gambia will benefit from its alumnus. So this is very, very important idea or initiative that we really are interested to pursue. So we have also been able to engage with the Students' Union recently, very, very cordially, because we have to remember that the students are the most important stakeholder of the University of the Gambia. Definitely. Although we do have some push and pulls anytime this is mentioned, but it is the fact. The student is the most important stakeholder of the University of the Gambia. However, the students have a responsibility. They are a key stakeholder, but of course, that shouldn't be a reason for misbehavior, for example, or indiscipline, etc., and etc. So these are things that we definitely don't encourage. We want our students to be responsible. We want to provide the best of service to our students so that the University of the Gambia will grow, so that there is continuity. And there is continuity in the University of the Gambia. I think that is the reason why we are here. We want to talk about the continuity, the sustainability of the University of the Gambia. Given our mission, our vision, our core values, I am confident that if all stakeholders put in their efforts, we are on a good path to attaining sustainable growth.
Before going to Kemo Conte again, you mentioned the Alumni Initiative. I'd want you to elucidate on that program. What is it all about? What does it entail?
Okay, the Alumni Initiative basically is an initiative to engage with our alumni, our alumnus around the world. At the moment, we have consulted with a few that we know around. We have had our initial discussions. We have gotten some of the contacts. So what we will do is to have an alumni association within the Directorate of Student Affairs, which will have a board. And the board will consist of course, alumnus of the University of the Gambia who are now influential people in society. So they will from time to time come on board to advise us and to help us raise funds for needy students of the University of the Gambia. And we will be engaged in community service activities. We will see what we can give back to our alumnus. This is very important. The university can also serve as a hub to help our alumnus build on their careers. We have seen universities wherein the alumni or the alumni association share career opportunities with its alumnus. So anytime they exist, for example, in a society or in a country, they tend to share it to see if the alumni will be interested. So there is a lot more we can do with our alumni to help. The alumni, of course, get some benefits from the initiative, and of course the University of the Gambia students also to enjoy from the initiative.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Drame. Mr. Kimokonde,
Yes.
Back to you. We have seen the issue of missing grades. It's a hot topic in UTG, most especially those around the Brikama campus. We are from Brikama campus, so you might know something about it. Can you kind of tell us what are your plans to ensuring that the issue of missing grade has been arrested in UTG?
Thank you very much. I think we need to start from somewhere. That is to clear the misconception surrounding the concept or the term missing grade. And I think this is what many students are having a problem with. When we roll out a Google form barely 2-3 weeks back, the first issue we address there is the concept, the meaning, the definition of missing grade. And I think this will help every student in the University of the Gambia, whether we are affected or not, to understand what we mean when we talk about missing grade. I must also confidentially say this. Missing grade, the term missing grade is the most bastardized language in the University of the Gambia. It's the language that is misinterpreted by students. In fact, the term sometimes is scapegoated, even though students are responsible for certain things. But the term is used in order to use it as a facade in order to hide their true intentions.
So are you saying that students are responsible for missing grades?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that yet. I'm trying to highlight the existing issue for us.
Okay.
Yes. So missing grade basically is it can be qualified, or a problem of a student can be qualified as a missing grade when that student registered for that particular course for a particular semester. And when I say register here, I mean the students have successfully registered that course and have done all the assessments, or even 2 of these assessments, but those marks or grades are not captured on the student's portal. This is a missing grade. But if a student does not register a course, but made a side arrangement with either the lecturer or the student is being bold enough to go ahead with the perception that the lecturer is easygoing and so on and so forth, and eventually the student called that as missing grade, that is not missing grade. Now, if we establish the fact that yes, a particular student have registered this course, and the student have not seen, because in University of the Gambia, our portal system, we don't have what is called IC, incomplete work. That is not indicated. Like in the Gambia College, I was a student of college before coming to UTG. If you do a test and an assignment, but you did not do the exam, these 2 assessments will be cumulated. It will be your final grade for that particular course. So it will not be like test, assignment here, incomplete work for exam, and then they will not enter. That is not the case. So this is why it will be very difficult for a student to successfully register a course and then there is a missing grade. Yes, it do happen. It do happen. But it's not as gross as sometimes it's tried to be hyperbolized by some students. Now, what we did, my ministry, in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President of the 20th Executive Council, immediately when we came, we made it as a duty to visit the director of the Students' Affairs. We had discussion with Dr. Drame on this very important issue, and we came to establish some of the facts surrounding the missing rate. Among them, the misconception that surrounded, and of course, since we moved to the portal system, the likelihood of having a missing grade is quite slim. So, but sometimes it's now been, exploded out of context by some students. Mm-hmm. Now, what we did after those discussions, we made sure we roll out a Google form for students who are affected. They believe that they've registered these courses, and then they've done all the assessments, but they could not see their grade, so that they can submit the name of those courses, the lecturers concerned, the assessment nature and other things. All those things, still the Google form is on, so that we have a time frame for it when we are going to close it and then assess all those students who are affected and provide a solution to this problem. And also, we clearly made it in that particular form that if you don't register a course, yet you are affected with grades issue, you can conveniently walk to the office of the Directorate of Students' Affairs for an arrangement to be done so that this problem can be sorted out. And this is clearly, communicated in the dispatch that we share. So you could see that my ministry, in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President, is strongly committed to ensure that the issue of missing grade becomes the thing of the past. Okay. Because while we are saying that students who have not registered this course can march to the Office of the Student Affairs Director, maybe there are some problems. You may make an arrangement with the lecturer and the lecturer turn otherwise. But now, with the involvement of the Director of the Student Affairs, this matter can be amicably handled and then remedied for the interest of both the university and the student concerned. So I think we have a very strong policy in trying to make a missing grade issue a thing of the past.
I think with the redefinition of the term missing grade, some students do have their grades missing, but it doesn't qualify the definition that you are giving. Is that the case?
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
So what do you do with them? Because a particular student might have made an arrangement with a lecturer, and the lecturer doesn't enter the grades. And the student might be calculating, okay, what if I go to the directorate, or what if I go and give out a report? Because obviously it hasn't been done through the right channel. Mm-hmm. So maybe they might think that there might be a particular repercussion. What do you have to say to that particular student?
A repercussion might not happen in this context. We are saying if you made an arrangement with a lecturer, or in fact, if you out of your own confidence. In fact, I see in some schools where students will stubbornly go ahead and then register more than 6 courses. Or in fact, we've seen a series of cases relating to this course registration. No need to mention all of them here. But the fact remains is, even if those cases have been cited or those the fact was responsible, still this matter can be addressed. There's no matter concerning student interest that cannot be addressed by the university, especially with the effort we've been seeing that the Directorate of Student Affairs have been doing. So any matter, no matter how compounding it is, it can be handled amicably. So the students must conveniently, sometimes we have to walk away from our convenient zones to ensure that we face issues so that we can sort it out, and then we all be free from it.
I think that is actually quite reassuring for you to just, but it is coming from the students' union. How about the Directorate of the Student Affairs? What is your take on that matter?
Okay, on the so-called so-called missing grade.
Yes.
When the University of the Gambia began, we started manual, and we all know the flaws with the manual systems. So some university students are so used to that, past way of doing things, to the degree that sometimes they take certain risks that are very, very difficult to mitigate at the end of the day, such of which our brother here mentioned, that is to attempt to do a course without official registration. When a student officially enrolls in a class, meaning successfully had their registrations on their portal, so the information will appear on the student portal and will appear on the university system and also appear on the lecturer system. So you can see this is apparent at all levels. So the student has a right to their assessment mark if they officially took all the assessments. So this is what If it is not available, we call a missing grade. That is, the student attempted all the assessments, in most instances 3 assessments, maybe a test, an assignment, and an exams, and in the end did not see one of these assessments. So the student has a right to come to the office, which will be followed because the student has done what they are supposed to do. And we don't take those matters lightly. As soon as students have that kind of problems, we engage the school directly and we ensure that in fact we pursue such matter to have it resolved. In many instances, it is human error. Maybe the lecturer inadvertently jump the student mark while doing the entry. So as soon as that is established, the students' assessments are completed. Or sometimes during examinations, because we have a lot of exams going on sometimes at the same time or in the same hall, some exam scripts can get mixed up. If 2 lecturers are teaching the same course, maybe your script could go to the other class lecturer instead of your class lecturer. So sometimes your results is delayed, your exam results is delayed as a result of that. So those things we are able to quickly handle or tackle. On a whole, that is what is surrounding the missing grade issue. Like you said, we have been able to engage the students. In fact, at the beginning of the semester, we tell the students to try as much as possible to do the right things. Students must not all the time take risk that are very difficult to mitigate at the end of the day. If a student enrolled in a class and did not have their registration, if they come to report a matter regarding that, all we tell them is we will try to engage the lecturer, but you have to understand that the lecturer is not wrong here. We will politely engage them and see if your assessments are still available in the lecturer's records. We will kindly engage them to return them to the school. And that is up to the lecturer to do. And in most instances, we have been able to have our lecturers respond to our call. So these are the things we have been doing at the directorate, but sometimes really, really difficult.
It's difficult. So I hope you're all getting that. If you're a student of the University of the Gambia, you have Mr. Kimo Conte here, and you have Dr. Habibatu Drame here. I think they are all very approachable, and you can approach them, actually lodge your complaint to them, and surely they would try to help you out with any problem that you are faced with. Away from that, there's another problem that students are facing that has to do with the issue of scholarships. We understand that different institutions are giving out scholarships. And mostly it has been given out by the government through MOHAS. But then there is a policy which was actually enacted 4 to 5 years ago, which actually stops the backdating of scholarships. So what happens is that a particular student might enjoy scholarship from the 2nd year up to the 4th year, but then the 1st year downwards would be, the person would be having arrears. So if you are graduating and you have arrears, obviously you wouldn't be able to graduate. So these are the problems that students are faced with. So what is your take on that issue?
There are students who upon enrollment do not have scholarships immediately. So they may get their scholarship 1 or 2 years down the line. And in most instances also, the scholarship provider will put an effective date on the scholarship. And of course, anybody who applies for a scholarship this time, you want the effective date to be this moment, this time.
Yeah.
So it may likely not cover the previous sessions of the student. So what I normally advise those students is to either go back to the sponsor and see if the sponsor can reissue the candidate with a scholarship letter that backdates. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the university to backdate. The university is in no authority to backdate a scholarship letter that has not been backdated by this provider. So, and once the student completes, the scholarship stops. So if they had 2 years to complete and their scholarship is for 4 years, when the 2-year period is due, the university stops that student scholarship because the student becomes inactive in our books. So this is why students have to be very careful. If they enroll and get scholarship. Down the line, they should try to re-engage the providers, the scholarship providers, to ensure their scholarship backdate. Another thing is, I don't know why our students take a lot of risk. If you enroll and you do not have funding, it's good to, how do you call it, to do deferment. Because now the system we have in place, if you don't register, you have this problem of missing, so-called missing grade, they call it. You don't register, you have no mark, you have no grade. So you don't continue taking those risks. The moment you realize you have a lack, you don't have funding, defer until you have funding to commence your studies. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. And Mr. Kemo Conte, from your end, from the Students' Union, and what do you think you can do to provide a solution, a sustainable solution, like the team will say, to remedying this situation?
Well, thank you very much. The fundamental issue here is University of the Gambia, if you look at the tuition fee, it's not expensive, it's expensive. It's not expensive when you compare it to the tuition fee of other universities across the world. It is expensive when you compare the tuition fee with our earning in the country.
Definitely.
You will question yourself, somebody who is earning $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 can pay the tuition fee of 2-3 people of the family. So sometimes it's very, very difficult. And this, because of this desperation, because of these frustrations, and our tenacity to acquire knowledge so that we can at least become one of the breadwinners of the family, it makes us sometimes to take certain risks, which perhaps to me, from my understanding, are avoidable. I'm a beneficiary of the scholarship offered by the Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. The same thing as you said, I was struggling to pay for myself. If you're from a political science stream, the government mentality towards that, before you have a scholarship, you have to struggle a lot. So even during our time, out of the entire political science stream, only 25 people were granted scholarship. So that is quite minute.
Yeah.
So we were left with no option but rather to grab that scholarship, which is not backdated, and we have to manage with it. Now, this is an issue which has not actually reached the table of Research and Education Ministry yet as a policy framework. But we believe at our level, we can also knock on the doors of some philanthropists to find a scholarship package for students, because Mr. Gumane has been working tirelessly to engage stakeholders when it comes to helping students in terms of helping them to pay their tuition fees and other things. And there are progresses that have been made in that regard. But we believe that also, these are government scholarships. So when government comes with a policy, it also requires stakeholder engagement in order to retract some of those or to provide modification to some of those policies. So I think with engagement with right authorities, we can alter some of those issues.
Yes, and I think that is quite important. Madam Graham,
Yes.
coming to your directorate again, will you be willing to push forward, like what he's saying, engaging some of these stakeholders to revisit these particular policies, perhaps, so that students who are affected by this type of circumstances get their scholarships backdated?
Okay, what I can advise on that is to have an engagement perhaps with the central government. Yeah. Most universities around the world are highly subsidized by government. The University of the Gambia is a state institute. If it's highly subsidized, then the tuition fee becomes very reasonable for every candidate to have enrollment or get enrolled. Yeah. So I think this is an area we can try to pursue and see. It's a giant, yes, it is a giant area to pursue, but this is possible. Most universities in Senegal are highly subsidized by, in particular state institutions, by the government, and therefore the tuition fees are mega. Most people can afford it. So that is one area that we can pursue. Engaging private sponsors like the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. It's a possibility through the SU, maybe. It's a possibility through an engagement with the SU to see how our students whose enrollments are given prior to the scholarship can have it backdated. This is an area of possibility to pursue. Yes, like I said, with the student union.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that is actually very wonderful and very soothing to hear from the directorate. And Mr. Kemo, we know that the Students' Week is one of the most highly anticipated event on the UTG calendar. Maybe it's only second to the examination. On your office, what programs are you trying to push to make sure that they become part of the activities that will be captured by the Students' Week?
Thank you very much, Mr. Drame. Student Week is one of the most important student activities, a week-long activity. That's why we call it Student Week. And normally, some of these activities happened in the rural part of the country. I see it as some of the practical ways of students giving back to communities, especially the rural communities. I remember attending 2020 Student Week in Tandaba. During that particular week, we made it possible to visit communities as part of our community outreach to engage with them on issues affecting them, issues that has to do with illegal migration and many other activities. The Ministry of Research and Education, under my leadership, we've already carved out our plan. In fact, it will surprise you to know that already we are done with our research proposal that we want to conduct during this Student Week. This was done within 1 week ago. We already tailor out a research topic which has to do with the post-elections issues. I don't want to tell you the topic directly, but I will just hint you. Yes, we're done with our research proposal. So our activity is going to center around research in the locality we are going to conduct this Student Week. And we believe that there's not only going to be an issue, there will be a series of community outreach that the research ministry will embark on, especially when it comes to the issue of education in the rural Gambia. And also we intend to help those rural school-going children about some of the subject areas they're having problem with. We will send our teachers to some of these schools to help them in providing requisite knowledge for them to at least surmount some of those challenges they are facing when it comes to those subject areas. So we have a lot of things on the pipeline.
Dr. Abibatu Drame, from your own experience, are there any set of conducts from students that make it difficult for you to cater for students' needs? Because sometimes students, we understand that they can be very difficult, and we know that you are there to help them. But then, are there any conducts that they might take that would make your job very difficult for you, from your own experience?
Yes, from my own experience. I have seen some students interact with lecturers inappropriately, and as a result, some of them suffer in the end. It's either they are so used to some of these lecturers, that they joke a lot. Sometimes they feel that the grades that they receive from the lecturers at the end of the day were not deserving marks. So I had always counseled them to remind them of the reasons why they are here. They are not at the University of the Gambia to befriend or to satisfy anybody. They are just there to receive education. And of course, when we graduate them, we don't only graduate them in learn, and also we do in character, which is very, very important. So generally, on a general term, I think our students are trying. We are trying to see how we can inculcate in them good manners. As we all see sometimes, you see students, pass by classrooms, making a lot of noise here and there. All of those things are not indiscipline, but it is not part of university culture. When you get to campus and you notice that lectures are going on, you don't need to create chaos. You don't need to create noise for a class that is going on. Sometimes also our students go through difficulty. They go through turbulent times. So sometimes they can come to your office very irresponsible. sometimes impudent, if I may nicely put it. Yeah, but what we do at the Student Affairs, when they come in that manner, we try to allow them to settle down, to vet out whatever they have in them, because then you will be able to see what you can do to help that student leave that office a better person. So, but not every person or every lecturer is able to understand this. In fact, there are moments some of them are sent out of an office, because the way they barge in, etc. Yeah, but we are doing our best, and now that we have the Career Guidance and Counseling Center, I want to believe that we will engage our students to mold them so that by the time they leave the University of the Gambia, they can be very good people or better persons.
That's definitely true. And Mr. Kemo Konde, I know your area, that is the Research and Education Ministry has been doing tremendously well. And the same is true of the Directorate of Student Affairs, because the Guidance and Counseling Center is something that most students now know about. So that is actually something that is of tremendous achievement. And Mr. Kemo, what are the challenges that you have actually faced since you assumed office?
All right. Challenges are not much since we are barely less than 2 months in office. Basically, right now, things that we may see as a bit of challenges emanate from the issue of finance. As you may know, since the 18th Executive Council, they've been pushing for a research competition, which has commenced from that time, but it could not be executed. Coronavirus was cited as one of the reasons of the setback, and also the 19th Executive Council also began it, and then there were a bit of setbacks. Also, when I come to office, I feel that this must be executed by hook or crook. So we feel that there will come a time, even from this starting point, that financial issues might become an issue. So, but we are in close contact with the Directorate of Research and Consultancy, so that we can find a means of helping students when it comes to financing their research activities, because the money that is already there is for the academic staffs to be conducting their research. So we are in close talk with the Directorate of Research and Consultancy so that they can have at least some amount of money for students, earmark for students' research activities, so that when we engage into these kind of things, we will not struggle, because we all know that research is not an easy thing. It's very, very expensive. It's an expensive endeavor. So at least if students have the ambition, because part of the ways to promote the culture of inculcating research culture into the student is also to incentivize students before they come into the research and after they've conducted research. There must be enticing things that will bring students into the research. And upon completing research, what will keep them moving also have to be a bit of incentives. So I believe if we have resources or finance for that, that will help us in our ministry in order to execute many research-related activities.
Yes. Would that also include helping students finance their final research project? Because for other schools it is mandatory, but for some it's just optional. For those that they are obliged to do a research program before graduating, do you have any financial aid to offer them to ensure that they give out quality research work?
Yes. This is a very important question, because we are on the verge of making research, writing thesis mandatory to all our students at the undergraduate and even at the graduate level. So this will require a bit of financial assistance. I'm glad that the last time I checked or I visited the research directorate, I was informed that a budget has been allocated for students, so it is yet to be defended in order to be approved. But they've already, when they were submitting their budget, they made a special allocation for students' research activities. And I believe if students write good thesis or good proposals, it should be financed by the assistant, through the assistance of the director, even though it's not fully financed by them. but they should be able to give something to students so that they can continue with their research activities.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. That is amazing. Back to you, Dr. Alumni. Actually, we've seen that you have been doing tremendously well, like I have highlighted, and our students actually cited you as a role, put it that way, which is actually something that is very true. But then, is there anything that you'd want to add to your office?
Okay, actually, if I have my way, the University of the Gambia will have recreation centers on all campuses across the university. This will allow students to really enjoy their student lives so that they graduate not only going through the university, but the university also going through them. So a lot of activities we have wanted to have, but we are challenged by the fact that we are not on our campus. So that is the constraint we have. So this is a dream that we have. We want the University of the Gambia students to really enjoy their time at the university. So hopefully we will have this materialize or realize. I want to believe in the next few years. We've been told our movement to Faraba is now going to be in the next few, I think it should be in 2022, we were told. Okay. So we are keeping our fingers crossed to see if this will happen. I am very hopeful that it will happen. And once this is done, once this happens, I want to think we will have more space, we will be able to do a lot more, and a lot more ideas will come up, and this will also help progress our student life at the university. The other challenges we have been able to tackle, we have had a lot of challenges, I want to admit. But with focus and dedication, a lot of them have been addressed, and this is a good sign of progress. Yes, thank you. Of progress. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I think we are coming to the end of the show, the program. Mr. Kemo, would you have anything to say as your final word for the show?
Thank you very much. I must commend the Information Communication Ministry of the 20th Executive Council for championing this Inside University show. Of course, I must thank and commend the Lagami Gumane-led administration of the 20th Executive Council also for also becoming much more transparent to the students, and then creating this student-centered government, a government that involves all students. You will recall just quite a few days back, student leaders across all faculty-based associations were trained internationally, which has never happened in the history of University of the Gambia Student Unionism. So we believe that this council will continue to assure the general students of the University of the Gambia that they will continue to promote the culture of student-centered government, and of course strive harder for what I would think as the most important thing, that is the student interest in the University of the Gambia.
Thank you so very much. Kemo. And Dr. Alumni, what do you want to say as your final contribution to this program?
First, I want to thank you for hosting us. This is an interesting session. I must also advise all that this is the highest institution of learning and the only one so far, except if I may be wrong, I think Gambia GTTI, yes, is also a university, but at least this is one of its kind, the first and state-owned university. The development of this country is in the education of our youth and our young, and of course our students. So it's a collective responsibility from the part of stakeholders to take this seriously so that we are able to have a nation that we will all involve in building. This is very important. The time is now. We must not delay it any further. Our development is in our hands. and I want to believe we all are a stakeholder and we have a stake in this, and we can. So let's move and help progress the University of the Gambia.
So that is it. Let's move and help progress the University of the Gambia. So this is all we have for you today from the Inside UTG. Join us for more interesting episodes of this interesting show. We'll be having other members of the University of the Gambia engaging in discussions like this, and I believe that today we had a very fruitful discussions. We have actually talked about different problems that university students are faced with, ranging from scholarship, missing grades, and other problems that so many of you might not have known. And Dr. Habibatu Drame has actually highlighted so many incentives that are in UTG for you. So with that, we'll leave you now until next time. Thank you so very much for watching.